understanding the important topic in thermodynamics, that is Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Okay, this is one of the very important derivation which we have. So today let us discuss regarding Clausius-Clapeyron equation. So first let me suppose if I take a system with two faces in equilibrium, I have to consider a system which is having two faces in equilibrium. So think that I have taken one system. Okay, so I have two faces in equilibrium. Let me define those two faces. So I have to take those two faces should be of same component. Those two faces, you are getting the faces. Those faces mean solid, liquid, liquid, gas, solid, gas, like that. Okay, so if you want, I write it. So I can have the faces like this: solid phase in equilibrium with liquid phase. Yes, and then liquid phases in equilibrium with gaseous phase. Yes, and then you can take it as a solid phase is directly in equilibrium with gas, that is sublimation example. You know these all. Okay, so here these are the two phases in equilibrium, but I should have of the same component. Let me consider water system, because water, like, it is very simple and easier to understand. Okay, let me take water system. Clear? So now we will try to understand this. Clear? Now let me consider that vapor is in equilibrium with water. Think that here I have a gaseous vapors. Okay, this is vapor. Okay, and this is liquid. Okay, so here the molecules will be there. So these liquid molecules of water are in equilibrium with water. What I am considering, vapor is in equilibrium with water. Remember, I am taking it as vapor is in equilibrium with water. Okay, that is vapor, like vapor state and liquid state is in equilibrium with water. Clear? I have taken water component and two phases of water as an equilibrium. Clear? So you have to understand the meaning of equilibrium. If there is equilibrium between these both, it means what? It means delta G will be equal to 0. That is, there is no change in Gibbs free energy. This is a condition for them to be equilibrium. That is the rate of these both systems. The rate is constant. Think that what does this equilibrium define? Vapor is in equilibrium with this liquid state. It shows that the rate of the both here phases is same. If this liquid wants to become gas, then the same moment gas also wants to become liquid. Okay, like that. That means if liquid is converting into gas, then gas is also converting into liquid. So that equilibrium is achieved means your delta G, that is Gibbs free energy, changes 0. So suppose, like, instead of these two states, no, like vapor and water, it is difficult to write. What I do, I'll start the derivation with state A. So think that this is vapor state and B is the another state. Okay, so to simplify the things, I have taken A and B are in equilibrium. Okay, now what happens if they are in equilibrium means A is trying to get converted into B. At the same time, what B is also doing, B is trying to get converted into A. This is the meaning of equilibrium. So there must be no change in the Gibbs free energy. Fine. So think that if A is having the Gibbs free energy of Ga, it will have, and B is also having the Gibbs free energy. Let us consider that as Gb. Okay. So here some conditions are there. In thermodynamics, you already know that. So final state minus initial state I do. Gb minus G. We have already studied this. So three possibilities are there. One, it is negative, other it is positive, other it is 0. That is final Gibbs free energy minus initial Gibbs free energy. If it is negative, then what it indicates? If it is negative, then the process is spontaneous. Clear? This I have already studied, isn't it? It is spontaneous. And if your change in Gibbs free energy is positive, then it will be non-spontaneous process. Yes? And if, like, this G is in, the value of G is 0, then what? It shows that what? If delta G equal to 0, then it shows that both the Gibbs free energy of Ga and Gb, final and initial states, are same. That is, they are in equilibrium, which implies what? Your Ga is equal to Gb. That is, they are in equilibrium. This is what you have to know. They are in equilibrium. So you know that what is the equilibrium meaning? So A will not get converted into B, or B will not get converted into A. Okay. So even though if converted, as I said, no, they will convert into each other again back. Okay. But completely they won't get converted. This is the meaning of delta G equal to 0. That is, they are in equilibrium. So definitely your initial state and final state Gibbs free energy should be same. This you have to remember. Okay. Suppose think that I started heating the system. in that I started heating this system. So what will happen? So if temperature increases, then pressure also increases. I'll write it. Suppose if I increase the temperature, then it implies that I'm increasing the pressure also. Then definitely I can tell small amount of change dt and small amount of change dp is observed in the system. Will you agree? Because I'm increasing the temperature also, so in turn pressure also increases. Clear? Then definitely if temperature is increasing and pressure is increasing, then Gibbs free energy also should change. Yes, definitely Gibbs free energy also changes, that because equilibrium will shift. Equilibrium shifting takes place. So what happens for small change in Gibbs free energy of A? So I can give that A is having Gibbs free energy change as dGA and B is having change in Gibbs free energy as dGB. Earlier you had GA and GB as the Gibbs free energy for state A and state B. Now since I am increasing the temperature, your pressure is also increasing, then definitely there will be change in Gibbs free energy, because I said your whatever this equilibrium is there, no, it gets shifted. So what happens? I can expect a change in Gibbs free energy, that is I'll take it as dGA and dGB. Okay, so like how I can write? Now the change is GA plus dGA for state A and GB plus dGB for state B. This is what I can write. Clear? So here now you got to know that these are the changes in free energy. So after some time what happens? Definitely again there will be an equilibrium, because earlier it was an equilibrium, both are getting same, like temperature and pressures are same. Then definitely again your system, no, it readjusts itself. It readjusts and again there will be an equilibrium between both. So again equilibrium between both means, so I can have the state size like this. So what I can write? There is equilibrium means GA plus dGA is equal to, I can write GB plus dGB. Can I write like this? Because again the equilibrium is established after getting readjusting. But you don't know that what is GA and GB. You don't know how much it is GA and GB, but you know the condition that GA is equal to GB. Yes, you know that GA is equal to GB. So what I can do? I can cancel GA and GB. Yes, because since they are same, here I have written already. GA and GB are same. Okay, so then what I can conclude is, therefore what I can conclude? dGA is equal to dGB. This I can conclude. So this you have to remember. So I can conclude dGA is equal to dGB. Clear? Now we have to consider another part. You already know that one of the important thermodynamic equation. What is that? That is dG is equal to, you know this expression, dG is equal to VdP minus SdT. Okay, Maxwell's equation. Okay, this is one of the thermodynamic equation we can take. So for this now, dG, once we will apply dGA and once we will apply dGA. So if this expression is applied to dGA, then what you can expect? VA into dP minus SA into dt. This will be the one equation. And for dGB what happens? It turns to be VB into dP minus SB into dt. Why? Because I am not changing pressure and temperature, because it is constant for both. P and P are same for both. Okay, only the change in VA and SA will get here, VB and SB will get. Clear? Next, now you know that since dGA equal to dGB, yes, these both are equal, then can I equate these both? Take this as equation 1 and equation 2. So can I equate equation 1 and 2? Because I have dGA equal to dGB. So what happens? See, I can have VA into dP minus SA into dt is equal to, what I can write? VB into dP minus SB into dt. Can I do this? Yes, I can have that, isn't it? So once again I have written the same expression here. So from here we will continue. Okay, I have written the same expression. Now you can rearrange the terms and take the like terms one side. See here, this dP can be sent this side and this can be sent here. So what happens? So dA into dP, and this is with plus sign. If it comes this side, then it will be with the minus. VB into dP is equal to. So this is already with the negative sign. If it comes here, then it will be with the positive sign. SA into dP minus SB into dt. Clear? Again see, dP is common here. I can write it as VA minus VB bracket dP. Similarly here, SA minus SB bracket dt. Clear? So you can remove dP and dt as a common. So I can remove it outside. If you want the value of dP by dt, what will you do? dP by dt is equal to what I can write? SA minus SB divided by VA minus VB. Can I write like this? If I want dP by dt. Just rearranging the terms. That is what I found, change in pressure per unit change in temperature. This is what change in pressure. dP means change in pressure per unit change in temperature. Now again what I can do? So this I can properly rearrange it as final minus initial. So I have to remove minus sign common because I want first final and then initial. So SB is final state, isn't it? SB minus SA divided by here also minus VB minus VA. Again these both will get cancelled. Minus minus. So what you are remaining with? So I can imply this as delta S, change in entropy, and this as change in volume. So my final expression turns out to be dP by dt is equal to delta S by delta V. Will you agree? So this is delta S by delta V. This is change in entropy. If not, you can make. This is what? This is change in entropy, and this is volume, change in volume. Fine. So this is the expression which we will arrive at. So again what we can do is, you already know what is delta S, change in entropy. You know that delta S is equal to Q by T. Yes, you know this expression, delta S is equal to Q by T. You have already studied. So the delta S is change in entropy. Q is what? It's the amount of heat supplied, and T is the temperature. So I can substitute this delta S is equal to Q by T here in place of delta S. So how it turns out to be? It will be like dP by dt is equal to, in place of delta S I am substituting Q divided by T delta V. Clear? So this is the final expression. You can expect it. Okay? So this is the final expression. It shows the phase transition, and it is also showing the relation between temperature and your pressure. Clear? Now again we have to continue this, and we have to find the integrated expression. Yes, integrated expression of this. Let us do that now. Clear? Now let us derive the integrated form of this Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Okay, so for this now again I am considering like two phases of water which are in equilibrium. You can see here that liquid phase and gaseous phase are in equilibrium. Okay, so this process is called as vaporization. Can I tell it as vaporization? Because liquid to gaseous state it is going. Okay, I'll refer it as vaporization. Now in case of vaporization, whatever the amount of heat Q is there, no, I can consider this heat as delta H for vaporization. Heat of vaporization, I can consider like this. So now how that equation becomes? So this equation is turned to dP by dt is equal to, in place of Q I'll write heat of vaporization divided by T, and what is this delta V? I'll write it as volume of gas minus volume of liquid. Why? Because I am having gaseous phase as well as liquid phase. Clear? And one more thing what you have to understand is, here the volume of gas is much more greater than volume of liquid. Okay, so if since volume of gas is very greater than volume of liquid, no, the volume of liquid is negligible. So if volume of liquid is negligible, then how this equation turns? It will be dP by dt is equal to delta H for vaporization divided by T into, it will be Vg. Okay, your volume, whatever the liquid volume is there, no, that is neglected. Okay, then so again what you can do now, whatever this expression is there, no, I can put the value of V here by this equation. You know PV is equal to nRT, ideal gas equation, and consider N equal to 1 mole. Okay, so here nowhere we are putting N, isn't it? So consider N equal to 1 mole of gas. So wherever you are taking note is for 1 mole of substance. Okay, like that we will think. So then definitely it will be like PV is equal to RT. Since you want the volume of gas, it will be RT by P. Now I want to substitute this volume of gas here. So what happens, see here, dP by dt is equal to delta H of vaporization, this will be as it is, T also as it is. In place of Vg I'll put RT by P. So here what happens, your denominator of denominator goes to numerator. Just on rearranging these terms, what happens, dP by dt is equal to delta H of vaporization into P divided by R into T square, because I have 2T here. So T into T will be T square. Okay, so now I got this expression. Now I have to integrate this. Before integrating, I can put the like variables one side. Here P is there, here dP is there, here T is there, here dt is there. What I have to do? I have to rearrange them. So on rearranging, what I get? So I can have dP by P is equal to delta HV divided by RT square into dt. I can have like this. Okay, this is what I can have. Okay, next we'll continue here. So see here, this dP by P can be written as d ln P. This you should know. I can write this as d ln P is equal to. Next further this RHS term as it is I read. That is delta HV divided by RT square into dt. Okay. Now what? Integrating on both sides. I take here only integrating on both sides. So in integration now we have to do between the limits. So for pressure I will do between P1 to P2, and for temperature I will do it from T1 to T2. So here only I will write it is from P1 to P2 and this is from T1 to T2. Here you can see integration and differentiation will get cancelled and you will remain with ln P from P1 to P2 is equal to. So in this expression you see delta HV upon R, they both are constant. Okay, so I will remove it out of the bracket, delta HV upon R. So integration of 1 by T square with respect to dt is minus 1 by T. Okay, so I have minus 1 by T from the limits T1 to T2. Now what you have to do? You have to substitute the limits. Remember always first upper limit you have to put and then lower limit. So here upper limit is P2. Ln of P2 minus ln of P1 is equal to this minus, I will bring it outside. It will be minus delta HV upon R 1 upon T2 minus 1 upon T1. Clear? This is what you have. Next here it looks like ln A minus ln B. I can write it as ln A by B. So what I can do? I can write it as ln of P2 by P1 is equal to. I will multiply this minus side inside. It will be delta HV upon R. These two terms get interchanged. It will be minus 1 upon T1 into, minus 1 upon T2. Okay. Again what you can have, so this is almost simplified. Again you can simplify this term as ln of P2 by P1 is equal to delta HV upon R. You can take the LCM here, T1 into T2. So it will be T2 minus T1. Even this is one of the Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Again in turn you can modify this expression. How? In place of ln I can put 2.303 log. Yes, I can put 2.303 log of 10 to the base P2 by P1 is equal to delta HV upon R bracket T2 minus T1 divided by T1 into T2. I can have like this. Lastly again how you can modify this? You can shift this 2.303 down to the denominator. That is log of 10 to the base P2 by P1 is equal to delta HV upon R. That is 2.303 R T2 minus T1 divided by T1 into T2. This is what your final expression for Clausius-Clapeyron equation. So this is the integrated form of Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Okay, I hope you understood this expression. Thank you.